News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Look at this. Israel, what happened was our government, as you would imagine, spies on other governments, even our allies like Israel. So we have this intelligence. It is highly classified. It is satellite imagery that shows Israeli locations with their bases and how they are preparing to strike Iran. They show highly classified intelligence that shows images of drones being prepared, images of jets being prepared to attack, to strike Iran. And that is imminent. That is happening shortly. Last week, the Israeli War Cabinet voted on how they will attack. They're going to respond because Iran, in the spring, threw a bevy of 101 drones and ballistic missiles at them. This time, they sent 181 drones and ballistic missiles, but they also sent hypersonic ballistic missiles. And they struck areas in Israel. Iranian proxies are also sending drones in from Hezbollah and from the Houthis in Yemen that are hitting Israel. In fact, they did a drone attack that struck, almost hit. It was targeted for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home. He and his wife were not home at the time, but it struck right next to it because that's what they were targeting, according to the Israeli government. So they're going to strike back, and they're going to strike back hard. They may hit their nuclear facilities. I think they should, because they're like a week away from having enough nuclear fissile material to have a nuclear warhead. Number two, they may hit their oil refineries. They must hit their oil refineries to cripple their ability to pay for the terrorism and the slaughter of Jews. Number three, they may take out the leadership, which I think would be great. They may or may not do that. I think they should. But the biggest thing is they very well may also strike the IRCG, or Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is who trains, arms, and attacks not only from Iran, but also in Syria, in Iraq, in Lebanon, and from Gaza, and from Yemen. 7 different fronts, Iran attacks Israel. So we have been spying on Israel. It's not necessarily surprising, but what is surprising is satellite imagery of the preparations with the drones, the planes, and the munitions were leaked. And it was given to Iran. And Iran, on a Telegram channel that is highly sympathetic to Iran and shared on Telegram into many, many Iranian channels on Telegram, showing this. And its interpretation of satellite imagery, providing insight into potential strike, says the New York Times. There are intense American concerns about Israeli plans, the New York Times says. It was collected by American spy satellites. And here's some more on this from the Free Beacon. One senior Biden-Harris administration official says this is a, quote, deadly serious breach. For at least the past year, there's been a concerted campaign to leak what seems to be classified information by anti-Israel elements, in large part to the impact of media narratives. But if it's true, this obviously goes beyond that. The Office of Director of National Intelligence is looking into these reports, seeking to determine how much of a cache of highly secretive documents dated. Listen to how recent this is. These were dated October 15th and 16th. We're talking about 6 and 7 days ago. How they made their way to a pro-Iran media account entity that published them on Telegram. Here's what we have from Axios. These leaks could be an attempt to disrupt the Israeli operation. It is. This is because you have a lot of anti-Semites in the Biden-Harris administration, because that's how the Democrat Party is. They have a lot of anti-Semites in it. The report, Axios says, details measures that have been carried out in recent days at several Israeli Air Force bases, including the transfer of advanced munitions, which, according to the report, were intended for an attack on Iran. The Israeli Air Force conducted a large exercise this week, this is what it showed, involving intelligence planes and likely fighter jets trained for a possible attack on Iran. The preparation is in Israeli drone units for an attack against Iran. This suggests very close and detailed surveillance by the U.S. intelligence of Israel's preparations for an attack on Iran, including the use of satellites to spy on operations carried out at the Israeli Air Force bases. It could be the sign of a very serious security breach within the U.S. intelligence community that resulted in top-secret classified information reaching the Telegram channel affiliated with Iran. Now, the big question is, will this influence Israel's plans against Iran? I'm going to answer what the Axios folks say. I'm also going to tell you about a great column today. I highlighted some of it from Max Abrams, a professor of political science at Northeastern University. Kamala Harris' Iran pick is the wrong choice. That's Iran's pick, he says. It's the wrong choice for American Jews. That's coming up next. But I want to ask you now, do you feel the Biden-Harris administration and the Harris administration will be worse for Israel? And what do you want Israel to strike in Iran in its upcoming attack? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Lines wide open. 800-288-9227. Do you find, or do you feel that the Biden-Harris administration and a Harris administration would be worse for Israel? And what do you want Israel to strike in Iran in its upcoming attack? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. They would be horribly worse for Israel. The Biden administration has been terrible towards Israel. For the first time ever, I've never seen an administration say, we're going to stop sending you weapons. Don't go into Rafah, which literally they disobeyed Biden and Harris. Harris said, I have studied the maps. There's nowhere for those people to go in Rafah. Do not go into Rafah. And so they said, hey, screw you. They flipped the bird at both of them. They went in and they just killed the architect of October 7th. If they were to listen to them, if Israel would have listened to Biden and Kamala Harris, they would never have gotten the guy that literally is the architect of October 7th. Can you believe these idiots? They have put the genital cuffs on Israel, delaying munitions if they go into Rafah, which was the best thing they could have possibly done. And that's why they call Bibi Churchill, because everybody in Israel, well, most of the advisors, including his chief rival, Benny Gantz, all voted not to go into Rafah. He overruled all of them, and he was right. It was like George Bush in the Al-Anbar awakening when they said, don't go back into the Al-Anbar the province, the Al-Anbar province, the Sunni Triangle. Don't go in there. Don't finish the job. And Bush literally ignored everybody, including many Republicans attacked him for doing it, and he won. That's Churchillian. And Bibi Netanyahu is constantly being hailed as Churchillian, and he's been right every time. It's been brilliant masterstroke. And now he must take out their oil refineries. He must hit their nuclear facilities. He must take out the leadership of Iran and take out the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRCG, and all of its training facility and all of its weapons and base areas, all of them in Iraq, Syria, and all over Iran. Cripple them to the ground and put chaos in Iran so that the people, 80% of whom love freedom, love Israel, love America, do not hate us, hate their regime who represses them and tortures them and kills them for standing up and wanting freedom. That's what they should do, and that's what my hope is. And they're doing everything they can, because if Kamala wins, they're screwed. So Israel, the best thing for Israel would be to have a President Trump administration. I'm going to tell you what Israel's response has been, and if this will influence Israel's plans. Coming up next on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Also coming up next, CBS 60 Minutes. Major criticism from non-Trump friendly media people, and also how an FCC complaint that was just filed actually could have real merit. Believe it or not. Trump may have been right, and literally it's because of a certain regulation that the FCC has that they literally may have honestly violated. That is next on the Chris Crock Show at 17 minutes after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. 800-288 WBAP is our number. Israel. A U.S. official told Axios about the leak on highly classified documents that it's extremely concerning, but he doesn't think it'll influence Israelis' operational plans. Good. I don't think it will either. I think Israel needs to finish the job, and they're not going to tell Biden and Harris anything, which is why they're spying on them, because they're trying to stop them with what they won't tell them. They're trying to figure it out so they can stop them from some other way. It's really sad and sick to see them try to undermine the great state of Israel, one of our greatest allies ever, selling them out and spying on them. And then one of the administration officials in the Biden-Harris very anti-Semitic administration they have, remember months and months ago, their employees openly in the State Department openly demanded a ceasefire and then Israel withdraw. They sent a letter to the president and made it public. It was unbelievable. Never seen that before. Trump would have fired every person that did that, and he should. And so Biden should have too, but he doesn't. He's afraid. He's a coward. And Kamala simply doesn't like Israel. She loves her anti-Semitic people. She doesn't call them out ever. She praised the protesters and all their anti-Semitic chants. So that's who she is. In fact, let me share with you. I promised to share this, and I didn't share yet. This is a real quick, some highlighting from a great column today in Newsweek's by Professor Max Abrams, professor of political science at Northeastern University. He says, Pew Research has found that Harris' support among Jewish voters is the lowest for a Democrat since Dukakis lost in 1988. Dude, that is 26, let me think, 24, 26 years. That's almost 30 years. This is the lowest poll for Jews. This is the lowest voters of Jews for a Democrat since Dukakis lost 26 years ago. Polls consistently find, he writes, that Trump would earn the highest level of Jewish support of any Republican presidential candidate in modern history, the highest Jewish vote of all. Harris defended these anti-Semitic protesters in the streets, saying that they were showing exactly what the human emotion should be. She downplayed the rampant anti-Semitism, he says, in higher education as robust free speech. On Israel, she said she is entirely supportive of restricting weapons to Israel for use against Hamas. She also has shown a tendency of discussing arms embargoes against the Jewish state before walking them back when her comments attracted national attention. She has sanctioned the claim as real that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. She also opposes the Israeli counterterrorism operation. She opposed it to root out Hamas in its Gaza stronghold of Rafah. She warned it would be a, quote, huge mistake. The very Rafah where Israel just found and eliminated the architect of October 7th, Yahya Sinwar. Harris also not only opposed successful counterterrorism operations against Hamas, but has also advocated negotiations with the terrorist organization, which have gone nowhere. She has equally opposed Israeli strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities, even though Iran is the leading state sponsor of terrorism and days away from nuclear weapons capability. She has also opposed placing the Iran-backed Houthis on the, listen to this, she opposed putting them back on the terror watch list. Even denied the existence of radical Islamic terrorism in the world. Wow. Kamala has been endorsed by the most anti-Israel Congress members, AOC, for example. Harris also is embraced she's embraced by the CARE, the Council on Islamic Relations, which is notorious for spreading radicalization through the country through its ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, including Hamas, he writes. And that's according to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. Harris also wins the highest ratings from the National Iranian American Council, the lobbying arm of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran has itself de facto endorsed Kamala by trying to kill Trump and steal internal documents from his campaign to share with the pro-Kamala media outlets. Well, there you go, my friend. That is exactly right, and that's exactly why she's the anti-Semite's best friend and Israel's worst friend. And that is that, brother. CBS has been hit with a formal complaint by the FCC over the Kamala Harris interview. I'm going to play this for you right now, and I want to ask you if this sounds what I'm about to play for you. Actually, I'll play it for you. Yeah, no, I have time to play it right now. Actually, I'm going to play it for you right now. And I want you to hear the 60 Minutes question about Israel, of all things, unedited. What she first answered in the answer, and then I'm going to play what 60 Minutes edited out and literally put a new answer in for her instead. And they're completely different. Here's the first one. This is the actual question and answer.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it's
in the region. Okay, that was it. So there was no answer. Did you hear an answer there? It was a word salad. They edited together with a different answer that was short and powerful looking compared to her real answer. It's unbelievable. Now, coming up next, how this FCC complaint that's been filed actually could be sustained, and it could result in a judgment against her. That is next. You're going to hear the edited version, the unedited version again, and then you hear the edited version back to back next on the Chris Kroc Show at 10:33 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at excuse me, allergies. And now on FM at 93.3. I'm asking you, and you can chime in right now, lines wide open. Do you think 60 Minutes unethically edited their interview with Kamala Harris' answer? And why do you think they won't release the full interview? 60 Minutes CBS is refusing to even release the full interview, and they usually answer it on every episode. They put in the full episode, no edits, called 60 Minutes Overtime, and this is one of the only ones they're not doing it in. And they're not releasing the transcripts, and they have done that before, and there was questions about how they did their reporting. So why aren't they doing it this time? It's pretty obvious. I'll tell that next and tell you how this FCC complaint could be sustained. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. That's next at 10:33 on WBAP. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. And guess what? I'm going to play you in just a sec the 60 Minutes from CBS, the 60 Minutes video that of Kamala's interview and how they edited it, and they literally changed the entire answer to make her sound better. And I'm going to play for you the unedited version, and then I'm going to play for you the edited version. You're going to hear the difference. And I'm going to ask you a few questions on this, and that is, do you think 60 Minutes unethically edited their interview with Kamala Harris? Answer. And also, the other question here is, why do you think they won't release the full interview and transcripts like they normally do? And yeah, they usually have 60 Minutes overtime, and that's where the entire interview is unedited. So the 10 minutes or whatever it was, 15 minutes you saw, I think it was actually, I don't know what it was, 16, 18 minutes. They'll take the entire thing, maybe it was a 20-minute, a 30-minute interview, edited down to 15 minutes, for example, and you'll see the entire thing online. They didn't do that here. Second of all, in instances where there's been questions, they've released the transcripts before. One of their former reporters, Catherine Herridge, confirmed that the other day, saying, you guys did that with some of my cases that were questioned or my stories. So why won't they do it for this? I think it's because this is so badly rigged. This is absolutely terrible for them. To give you an idea how bad this was, Fox News' Howie Kurtz, the host of one of the most boring shows on Fox News called Media Buzz. I remember I would do my scout camp outs with my son Isaac. He is an Eagle Scout now, but he's 21, so he eagled out at 18 years of age, and he also aged out. But when we go on these campouts for the weekend, I'd listen on to my I have Fox News audio. I can get the entire shows and everything. And I listened to all the shows on Sunday morning. And when this came on, this media buzz with Howie Kurtz, I'm like, this guy's totally boring. He doesn't ever give good answers. He doesn't like Trump, that kind of stuff. Howie Kurtz today ripped the living crap out of it. And he had nothing good to say. Let me go to where he just ripped this really badly. I've never heard anything like it from him, though. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. But it's really bad. He lambasted and he said somebody should be fired. So that's the media guy over at Fox News. Literally said that CBS should fire somebody for this. Now, let me play it for you. You tell me how badly this is edited up to make her look better. Here's the real version, unedited.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
So that literally, it seems like Israel's not listening to you. And then what does she do? She goes, word salad. No answer, word salad. So then they edited it to have a completely different answer. And here is that one.
It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
That sounded like a powerful short answer, didn't it? None of which was in the actual answer. So they literally edited the interview and just made a better answer for her. Second of all, from the Western Journal today, CBS hit with formal FCC complaint over Kamala Harris interview. One member of the FCC believes the FCC should take a close look at this complaint and its handling of it in 60 Minutes with Kamala Harris. In the final interview, you heard the question right there, edited way out. The Center for American Rights filed a formal FCC complaint alleging the edits amount to deliberate news distortion, a violation of FCC rules governing public broadcasters' public interest obligations. Quote, this is about the public's trust in the media on critical issues of national security and international relations during one of the most consequential elections of our time. Its president, David Sir, said, when broadcasters manipulate their interviews and distort reality, it undermines democracy itself. The FCC must act swiftly to restore public confidence in our news media. The need for the Commission's action is strengthened by CBS' refusal thus far to release the transcript, which it has done in similar interviews in the past. FCC Commissioner Nathan Symington says the FCC might actually review the complaint. This complaint might come before the Commission for adjudication, he said to Fox News. I don't think it would be wrong at all for the Commission to reach the conclusion this matter is something we should look into further. Quote, the Commission acts on complaints about distortion, not complaints about editorial positions. And that's what's critical. I want you to hear. This is not about her opinion or his opinion, is bad. He's in the tank for. That's not what this is about. Opinions are not illegal or that's literally what the Democrats want to do. Censor your speech. But the Commission's act on complaints about distortion, not complaints about editorial positions. And so, he says, the Commissioner says, what this claim is alleging is an act of distortion took place. He noted the Commission has certainly contemplated the possibility of distortionary reporting taking place via splicing. They've done that before. That's one reason I don't think this complaint is facially ridiculous, and it would not be inappropriate for the Commission to take it up, the Commissioner said. The reason we care about news distortion at all at the FCC, and the reason that we're willing to explore this possibility even conceptually, given the strong First Amendment protections for broadcaster speech, is precisely because of this concern that we don't want the public to be misled, he said. I think everyone agrees that deliberately misleading the public is a bad idea. And if there's some possibility that's what took place here, then obviously we should all be upset because people go to the news in order to learn things about what they would never be able to learn about themselves. In other words, going to the news is an act of extending trust. Now, the thing about trust is, well, once that's lost, it's very difficult to regain. Wow, huh? You cannot distort the actual truth at a news outlet. And if you do, that's a big deal. Not opinion, but distortion of actual news. Continuing on, Catherine Herridge, former CBS News reporter, says releasing the unedited transcript is consistent with journalistic transparency, and it stands behind the integrity of its entirety of Kamala Harris's edit, not just the clips under scrutiny. CBS has the ability to immediately settle those questions and address the merits of FCC complaint alleging news distortion. There's an example of precedent, there's ample precedent, she writes, of CBS News, where she used to work at for years, for releasing full unedited transcripts. In 2019, the interview with Attorney General Bill Barr, they released the entire transcript. In 2020, their interview with President Trump, with Catherine Herridge, who's the one who's writing this out, she interviewed Trump in 2020 for CBS, and they released that entire transcript. 4 years later, a third time, CBS 60 Minutes released its full interview transcript with Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Note, she writes, CBS did not respond to earlier requests for comment. So they have released transcripts 3 times in the past 5 years. One for Attorney General Bill Barr, one for President Donald Trump, and one with Fed Chair Jerome Powell. There's no reason to not release this. Their answer that they released is incredibly vague and terse. I'll share it with you next. I want to ask you, though, you heard the before and after editing. Do you think 60 Minutes unethically edited their interview with Kamala Harris? Answer. And why do you think they won't release the full interview and transcripts like they have done so many times before? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I think they're not releasing it because they've been busted. And it's that big of a deal, and it's that much distortion, which is why the FCC should investigate to see what's behind this. And if there's not much behind it, there's not much of a distortion when they find, then they should drop it and move on. All that has to be done is release the transcript and release the full interview, and it's over. It's done. This guy looks like a pro, the interviewer, and not interviewee, but the interviewer. He looks like a pro. There's no reason to hide this. All right, I'll share with you the rest of that story coming up next. Plus, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. Who got in, who didn't, who should get in, who didn't. All that next. Chris Kroc Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3 at 1047. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well. 60 Minutes did respond. And here's what they said. Former President Trump is accusing 60 Minutes of deceitful editing of our October 7th interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. That's false. 60 Minutes gave an excerpt of our interview to Face the Nation that used a longer section of her answer than on 60 Minutes. Same question, same answer. No, it is not. Did that sound like the same question, same answer to you? Do I need to play it again? No. Okay, he says. Producer Garrett 2 says no, so that's fine. But a different portion of here, same question, same answer, but a different portion of the response. Yeah. I mean, how many minutes lapsed between the answer that you heard that was a jumble of crap versus that answer? You know, maybe it was a 2-minute answer and that was the last 10 seconds. I don't know. We don't know. That's why they got to release it. This doesn't answer anything. Continuing on, they say when we edit any interview, whether a politician, an athlete, or movie star, we strive to be clear, accurate, and on point. The portion of her answer on 60 Minutes was more succinct. Oh my gosh, which allows time for other subjects with a wide-ranging 21-minute long segment. Okay, that is not answering it, is it? No, that's not. That's polishing a turd. This is a hit job, is what this is. This is a smokescreen cover-up job. Our long-standing invitation to former President Trump remains open if you would like to discuss issues. Yeah, last time you had Trump on, you released the entire transcript. And you won't do it for Kamala because she's a failure. And you rigged it. It's such a bad response. It's such a bad rig job that you don't want to see it. Isn't that amazing? The last Trump interview was 60 Minutes. They released the full transcript, and now they won't for Kamala. That tells you everything. They released their transcripts of the full interview with Bill Barr, Trump's attorney general at the time, of Trump and of two others. So, yeah, no way. They rigged it. So I'm glad the complaint's been filed. So the FCC hopefully will fully investigate and then make their decision by hopefully the truth. The problem is we have a Biden FCC and there's only one Trump appointee on there. So we'll see. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Class of 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Some of these are the worst picks of all time. They have nothing to do with rock and roll. They picked them because somebody's a person of color or female. There is one person in here who you could say is not rock and roll, but I don't have an objection to, because the greatest rock and roll band of all time was inspired mostly by blues. And so if somebody's a deep blues type singer, a real blues singer, not this R&B crap, which is garbage, then they have no business being, they're okay in there as far as I'm concerned, because they influenced our rock and rollers greatly. But if it's country or hip hop garbage or R&B, that belongs nowhere in there. And they're just they took some DEI classes and they're trying to work that crap into here, which is destroying rock and roll. At least the Hall of Fame becomes more and more of a joke the more it dilutes itself with garbage that has nothing to do with rock and roll. In the performer category, the first person has absolutely no business even being thought of being put in here. This is the most pathetic, stupid thing. Mary J. Blige. I mean, isn't that like R&B? What a freaking disgrace. Whoever's doing this, you know who's doing this? These Kamala voters, these that sit peeing down, these men that sit peeing down, these white dudes for Kamala Harris, enlarged breast from chronic marijuana smoking, and talking about how Doug, what's his name, the Kamala's husband, who slapped a woman in the face so hard she spun around, and who impregnated the nanny. That guy's a man of leadership and fights toxic masculinity. Cher, she belongs in. I got you, Sonny and Cher. That's, you don't think so? What? Then tell me this, producer or newsman. The reason why I'm okay with it is because of Sonny and Cher. And I mean, what was Sonny and Cher? What kind of music was that? What was it? If you can't name 60s rock, well, then that's why it belongs. She belongs in there. She is a pop artist on her own, but as part of Sonny and Cher, she came up in rock, early rock. Dave Matthews Band, absolutely not. He's an ostrich. He's a goose. Oh, look, the geese are flying. No, Dave Matthews is playing down the street. That's all he is a goose to me. No, he doesn't belong in Foreigner. Absolutely. Lou Gramm, incredible stuff. I've seen them in concert. Peter Frampton is incredibly important for rock and roll. God bless that man. Kool and the Gang, hell no. Celebration is rock and roll? What the heck are you smoking? Stuff that up your rump and put it in the toilet. That's garbage. Ozzy Osbourne, obligatory, must put in there. A Tribe Called Quest. I mean, dude, I'm vomiting. What are they, R&B? Rap? What the hell are they doing in there? Sorry. Iron Maiden's not in there still? Okay, they have to be in there. They're not in there? Did you check? Okay, that's absurd. That's obscene. Jimmy Buffett, fine. I'm fine with that. Musical excellence. He may not be rock and roll to some, but he's... Dionne Warwick, was she R&B? Or was she some Salt Blues? What was she? I don't know. No, right? No, get out of here. That's like Motown. Get out of here. Norman Whitfield. I don't know. I don't even know who that is. Alexis Musical Influence Award. I don't know who Alexis Corner is. I don't know who John Mayall is. Big Mama Thornton, I think, is, by the looks of her picture, looked like an early blues artist. And if she inspired bands like the Stones, the Beatles, then obviously somebody like that should be in there. Anybody who helped make the Beatles and Stones who they are, for example, should be put in there. That's all. That's my take on the blues stuff. Like B.B. King, for example, Buddy Guy, Howlin' Wolf, all those people. Okay, I got to get out. I'm getting yelled at, even though it's his fault, not mine, that we're late.